Hello, everyone. Welcome to Nanuya Channel, the podcast where we open up about life's biggest questions, one honest conversation at a time. I'm Nino.
And I'm Joy. Today, we're asking a question that seems simple, but is actually pretty complex. What is happiness? Where does it come from? And how do we find more of it?
Happiness. We all chase it. Some of us think it comes from success, others from relationships, experiences, or even peace of mind. But the truth is, it's different for everyone, and sometimes we don't even realize we're happy until we look back.
Exactly. And the definition of happiness can evolve with time. What made us happy as kids may not fulfill us now. For some, happiness is the absence of pain. For others, it's the presence of joy, love, or purpose. And for many people, it's also about meaning, a sense that what we do matters.
So, Joy, let's kick things off with a personal question. What does happiness mean to you?
For me, happiness is presence. It's those little moments when I'm not thinking about the past or worrying about the future. Like when I'm on a walk in nature, listening to music, or laughing with friends over dinner. It's not always loud or exciting. It's often calm and quiet, a sense of being okay right now, in this moment.
I love that. Mine's kind of similar. Happiness, for me, is tied to connection. It's when I feel seen, when I'm sharing something real with someone, whether that's a conversation, a memory, or even just a look that says, I get you. It's also when I'm doing something creative or meaningful, like this podcast. That sense of purpose really lights me up.
And that brings up an interesting point. Is happiness something we feel or something we create? Because if we wait for it to arrive, we might be waiting forever. But if we build it through our habits, our mindset, our community, then maybe we have more control over it than we think.
Totally. There's that idea that happiness isn't a destination, it's a practice, like gratitude, or mindfulness, or even just choosing to focus on what's working instead of what's missing.
We also asked our listeners to chime in on what happiness means to them. One listener, Priya, said, "Happiness is when I see my kids laughing. It's simple, but it reminds me that joy doesn't have to be complicated."
And Mateo wrote in and said, I used to think happiness was achieving my goals, but now I see it's in the journey, the learning, the growth, the little surprises. I'm happiest when I'm becoming more of who I'm meant to be.
Beautiful responses. And they show just how personal happiness really is. It's not one size fits all. What lights you up might not mean anything to someone else. And that's okay.
I also want to acknowledge that sometimes we don't feel happy, and that's normal too. There's this pressure to be happy all the time. But sadness, frustration, even boredom, they're part of the human experience. They don't mean we're broken. Sometimes they even make happiness sweeter when it comes back around.
Absolutely. We can honor all our emotions and still work toward building a life that includes more joy. Maybe happiness isn't about being cheerful every moment. It's about being authentic, being real with ourselves, finding peace in who we are, even when life isn't perfect.
I was reading a study the other day that showed how acts of kindness, like helping a stranger or simply expressing gratitude, can significantly boost our happiness levels. It's amazing how giving to others can bring us joy in return.
Yes, and there's also research suggesting that people who regularly reflect on what they're grateful for, just 3 things a day, tend to be happier over time. Gratitude shifts our focus from what's lacking to what's already abundant.
And let's not forget the importance of rest. Sometimes all we need is a break, space to breathe. In our hustle culture, it's easy to overlook how much joy can come from slowing down.
Exactly. Rest isn't lazy, it's healing. It gives our minds the space to process, to reset. Some of my happiest moments come after I've just taken time to be still.
I actually talked to a friend recently, Sam, who shared that his happiest memory was something really simple, sitting with his grandfather on a porch swing, just watching the sunset. No phones, no distractions, just presence and love. That kind of moment sticks with you.
And I remember when I was volunteering abroad a few years ago, there was this small village, very little in terms of material things, but so much joy in the air. Kids playing, families laughing, meals shared with love. It reminded me that happiness often has very little to do with what we have and everything to do with how we live.
I think another key element is self acceptance. We live in a world that constantly tells us to improve, to change, to want more. But when we accept ourselves, as we are, there's a calm that sets in. That peace, I think, is a kind of happiness too.
Definitely. And happiness doesn't have to be grand or dramatic. It can be a cup of coffee in the morning, finishing a good book, hearing your favorite song at the right time, or simply watching your pet do something funny. The more we notice those small joys, the more fulfilled we feel.
We also can't ignore the role of relationships. Strong, supportive relationships are one of the most consistent predictors of long term happiness. Whether it's friends, family, a partner, or even a pet, feeling loved and connected gives us a foundation to thrive.
Right? And sometimes happiness is also about letting go. Letting go of comparisons, of unrealistic expectations, or of relationships and situations that no longer serve us. That release can open space for new joy to grow.
And let's not forget, happiness can be both fleeting and long lasting. There's the quick burst of joy when you get good news. And then there's the deep, sustaining kind of happiness that grows over time through purpose and alignment with your values.
So, to everyone listening, ask yourself, what makes you feel truly alive? What are those moments that make you smile without even realizing it? That's where your happiness lives.
And maybe this week, take a moment each day to notice something that brings you joy. Write it down. Savor it. The more we pay attention to happiness, the more of it we tend to find.
And remember, even on the hard days, happiness doesn't disappear. It just hides. It waits for us in a memory, a quiet breath, a kind gesture, or a moment of courage.
Before we go, we want to share one more listener story. This one from Sanjana. She wrote, I have started enjoying my life as it unfolds every day. I have stopped bothering about issues. I realized that both happiness and sadness are temporary states. I strongly believe that no one can be eternally happy or sad. Staying close to reality and living the moment is what we could do best. Somewhere I have read, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what is there until you open and taste it. How true. Happiness, sadness, regret, success are all overrated virtues. I think we should learn from kids. They cry, they play, they move on. Some say happiness comes when you're content with what you have. Some say it comes when we win and win big. For some, it is family. All seems to be true. For me, it is a mix of all. Just make sure the moments are lived to the fullest.
Beautifully said. What a powerful reminder that happiness isn't a fixed point. It's a collection of moments, choices, and awareness.
All right. That's it for today's episode of Real Talks. As always, we'd love to hear your thoughts. What does happiness mean to you? Comment, share your story, and subscribe.
Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and remember, happiness might be closer than you think.
Take care, everyone. See you next time.